Hello everyone, back with part 20 of my recent watches. So I think it's been 12 days since I did the last episode, and I've watched 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 films I think, although they're all on physical media, but one's like a kind of burnt copy where you just can't get it on UK release or even import, I don't think. I'll talk about it when I get to it. Let me know if you know there's like a Scream or Shout Factory edition. Yeah, I'll give a bit more information when I get to it, because I don't usually have films that aren't official releases. Being a collector, I like to actually collect the standard editions, but special editions and things. Whereas, I will talk about it when I get to it. I think I did say in the last video on my other recent watches, part 19, I've been off on holiday, so I did that sort of near the end of the holiday, but obviously being off a few days, I've managed to get quite a lot watched. So 13 films in 12 days, pretty much one a day. Right, let me get on with it. I've spoke about it long enough. So first one I watched from the archive collection on Blu-ray is Joe versus the Volcano. So it's Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, directed by John Patrick Shanley. It's a 12 mild sex references, language, suicide references, rude humour and threat from 1990. Can I find a running time? 102 minutes. Really enjoyed this one. Heard kind of mixed things about it. Stuart from Stuart George's Home Movies had been singing this one's praises a while ago, saying it was one of his favourite Tom Hanks films. When he first spoke about it, I'd not even heard of it, and I think I've seen it in CEX, a local one in like Kingswood. Not long after Stuart's talking about it, but it wasn't the archive version. It was like the older, bigger, thick one, and I think at the time it was about £18. So I didn't buy it. Glad I didn't, because I managed to get this one in the 2 for 15. I think a lot of the movie loons have watched it since Stuart was speaking about it. I think Ollie said it was okay, a bit disappointing. Jodie, I don't think was a big fan of it. Don't think Sammy liked it much at all. Sammy G's World of Cinema. And then Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm. I think a few of them said on the group it was like bit all over the place, bit of a mess, I think they said. Whereas no, I enjoyed it. I think if this is a kind of one, if I seen it when I was younger, like 8 years old or something, this would be like one of my favourites now. Because obviously Green Mile, with certain Tom Hanks films that are better made films than The Burbs, Joe Dante film with Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, Tom Hanks. But that's always been one of my favourites. So I guess when it comes to favourite films, I'm not always saying these are critically the best films. They're just ones that resonate with me, ones that I've got nostalgia. So The Burbs has always been one I love, and probably my favourite Tom Hanks film. Just like that, it's kind of comedy, entry level horror, just really memorable. One of my sisters, I showed it to her years ago, and it's one of probably her favourite film now. And I feel if I'd watched this around the same age, this would be up there. Still really enjoyed it. The plot goes, near the end without spoiling it. The ending gets a bit weird. It's kind of a bit of a fantasy film, really, but the ending's a bit silly. I'm not going to say what happens. In the context of the film, it works, and it's kind of the most satisfying ending they could have made. But it's, I wouldn't say a cop out ending, but I'm not going to say what happens. But first time I'd ever watched this. Like I said, if I'd watched it years ago, then I think this would be one of my favourites. I know one of my mates remember seeing this at the cinema. He must have been like 6 years old when this came out. I don't know if it was a 12 back then. But he said he can remember the bit when they're like playing golf off of the luggage. A bit with the luggage floating in the sea. Really good. Tom Hanks good in it as always. Meg Ryan really good. I think she plays like 3 different characters in it. It did actually genuinely make me laugh a few times. I can't get sort of hate on it. Obviously not everyone hates it. Stuart's a fan of it. And the others didn't say it was terrible, but I think they just didn't think it was great. But I would give that an 8 out of 10. Solid film, enjoyable, comedy, quite original. The concept, tell me on the back. They obviously want to spoil it if it's saying. So basically he's sort of thinks he's terminally ill, and the guy said you're going to die anyway from a brain cloud, but rather than die poor or whatever, I'll pay you. You can live the high life, but you've got to jump in the volcano at the end of it. I won't sort of go into all the story of how that comes about. But enjoyed that one. I think it's a Tom Hanks underrated film, and one I will be going back to watch again. So yeah, thank you, Stuart, for recommending that. I would have probably never even heard of it. Yeah, one weird, isn't it? That after all these years of knowing most of Tom Hanks' films, just never had come across that one if Stuart hadn't spoke about it. So thank you, Stuart. Link him down below. Sure, everybody knows Stuart. Great channel, great guy, great t-shirts, great magnifying glass. Next is, I mean, this is a horror, but it's kind of a light kind of comedy horror. Doesn't actually have a rating on, but I guess it would be like a 15 or a 12. Is Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. So it says Eric's Revenge. I think confused people into thinking it's like a sequel or something. It's not. It's the original. I mean, they could have just titled it Phantom of the Mall, adding the Eric's Revenge on. I think the studio did that. I think I heard when I watched like the extras and stuff. Yeah, it just would have worked as Phantom of the Mall. Eric's Revenge does make sense because that kind of is the context of the film. But yeah, I think it misled people into thinking this was a sequel. Probably didn't all pick it up because they thought, well, I need to see the original Phantom of the Mall. Mall? I thought Americans called it Mall, but in this they're calling it Mall. Mall to me is something a dog or a lion does if it gets hold of you. But yeah, I guess the Americans probably say it correct because they invented. I call them shopping precincts. Like the Bullring in Birmingham. Yeah, I guess it's just a big, not a department store. Yeah, just a big like shopping precinct. I guess that's an American word. I guess I just call them the shops in England. But yeah, this second time I've watched this one, you can probably tell from the front it's kind of a bit of a riff on the Phantom of the Opera, but he's sort of living in a mall rather than in an opera house. But yeah, it's quite funny, it's quirky, it's entertaining. The acting's pretty good for this kind of, yeah, it's not really that much of a B movie, should I say. I mean, it's 91 minutes. It says here, slick, well-produced fun with a cast of young and appealing actors. Just make all long lines when it plays at the mall nearest to you. Has popular success written all over it. Yes, a lot better than, it's a slasher, but there's a bit more. I'd say it's kind of, got the vibes of like, the comedy and sort of zaniness of what's it called? Friday the 13th, the final chapter, the one where what's his name? Guy out of Mystic River. He's out of Willard. I'm having a mental block on his name. One where Crispin Glover's dancing in it, and then it's got Corey Feldman. Yeah, similar kind of vibe to that, but crossed with Mallrats, if anybody knows that film, Kevin Smith film, which I do enjoy. Yeah, it's a bit silly and that, but entertaining. Yeah, I guess it's probably like a 15 or a 12 if it had a rating on. There's like the original artwork. Yeah, it's got some gory kills. I like films that are set in malls. There's not that many of them. It's fun. The lead character looks good. He's kind of sympathetic. Some characters are annoying, but I think they're meant to be, and I get killed. Yeah, special effects are good. Yeah, it's better than it kind of, I wouldn't say better than it should be, but yeah, weird this one went under the radar. There's a lot of slashers and sort of lower budget horror films in this that were more famous, so yeah, weird that not many people seem to know of this, but yeah, I do think it's a underrated one. I would give that a 7.5 out of 10. Next one, sure everybody knows this one. I think everybody's seen this, especially farmers and farmers' mums. It's Hot Fuzz. So this was recorded quite near me, so if anybody knows me and Ollie from Ollie Loves Film, both live in Bristol area, and this was filmed in, I think some of it was filmed in Wells, I think the big cathedral, and then some of it was filmed in Summerfield in, I think it's like in Street or Gloucester, yeah, Somerset, basically, yeah. You can probably tell by the accent. I think these guys' accents are a bit stronger than mine. Hopefully, let me know on YouTube. These are a bit more sort of Somerset, rural kind of accent. Whereas, yeah, I live between Bristol and Bath, so it's kind of half the like Somerset twang of Bristol, and then Bath, I guess, don't speak quite so West Country. But yeah. Watched this a lot of times, let's say 5-6 times. First rewatch in years, still funny, probably funnier than before. Not only is there jokes, but you'll notice like there's a bit when he's making a joke, you see the date on the calendar in the background responds to the joke. Yeah, there's just so many jokes and references that you can just miss them if you're not paying attention, or if you're laughing, you might miss an earlier joke. Loads of quotables. good cast. Obviously, you've got like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, but as Jim Broadbent, that's the only name it tells me. But yeah, it's like a who's who of famous British actors and actresses, loads of good people. Surprisingly quite gory. It's only a 15, but yeah, when the kills happen, they go there. Yeah, it's kind of got everything. It's comedy, it's got horror, it's got action, it's got thriller, it's got mystery. It's like a police one. There's like gunfights, a bit of a western bit when he rides in on the horse. Yeah, it really has got everything. This is my favourite of the Cornetto trilogy. I do like Shaun of the Dead, but I prefer this. Just think it's got better humour. Shaun of the Dead's kind of not limited, but it's just a zombie comedy horror. Whereas, like I say, this is kind of spans every single aspect you could think of, other than like war film. The comedy really lands for me. Yeah, really well made, really glossy. The shootout bits look really good. The action works well. Not a massive fan of The World's End. Was probably my least favourite. I do have Baby Driver, which a lot of people are saying is the best, their favourite action film of like recent times, and a lot of people are saying it's their favourite Edgar Wright film, so I do need to get onto that. I think he also did last Something in Soho. Kind of looks a bit more like a horror. Haven't watched that. He's got a series sort of before this called Spaced, which is kind of like the prelim to Shaun of the Dead with a lot of the same themes and things. But yeah, I won't talk about this too long. Sure, but Shaun of the Dead, I really need to upgrade this onto like Blu-ray or 4K. DVDs still look good. It's a 15, it's 1 hour 56 and nearly 2 hours, but it flies by. Yeah, I could literally watch this like every single day for quite a while before I'd imagine I'd get bored of it. Contains very strong language and strong comic bloody violence. Has it got a year? 2007? Yeah, I do need to go back and watch World's End again, because I've only watched it once. I enjoyed it, but without sort of spoiling it, something that happens in the toilet, the way it kind of, it's not as weird as it sounds, the way it kind of plays out did make me, kind of took me out of the film a little bit, I guess. Like a reveal that happens is all I'm going to say. Yeah, is this my favourite of the trilogy? Yarp. So I'd give that an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, a bit of a comedy kick that day. I haven't seen the new Happy Gilmore Part 2, is it called? Where I basically don't have Netflix anymore. I binned it off because I just wasn't watching it. I was paying the money, what's it, like £10-11 a month, and I was literally not even going on there to see what was on for like months on end. So I cancelled it. So I can't watch the sequel, but I've always enjoyed this one. It's Happy Gilmore by Adam Sandler. So yeah, not the biggest Adam Sandler fan. Some of his films were back in this. I mean, some of them I can recognise they're silly and he's like immature. He's got a weird kind of comedy style, but some, Happy Gilmore, The Longest Yard, The Water Boy. There's a few of the older ones that do make me laugh. But I think this is the best one. I mean, the comedy coming from Adam Sandler, the character he plays is kind of quite childish, and he's like fighting people, shouting, kind of you expect from him. But the actual good comedy comes from the other characters. So Carl Weathers is really good in it with his like wooden hand. Who else is in it? Julie Bowen, Christopher McDonald, really good as Shooter Gavin. Don't tell me all the people in it, but yeah, there's a lot of people you all recognise. I've not really much of a golfer, but I have played at the driving range. And I went to the driving range after I watched this, and I was like, well, you never know, maybe I'm going to be able to drive it 400 yards. First time I ever played, after a few swings, I wasn't actually too bad. I didn't know about putting and, making shots to land where I want them, but in terms of just smacking them really far, yeah, it was quite fun, and wasn't too bad at it. But yeah, the thing I sort of like about this is just like an everyman hockey player who never played golf, when he steps up to hit it, it's not just that he hits it like 400 yards, but the sort of the way the camera works, you hear the ball flying, it just really looks like he's absolutely slogging it around. Then he comes onto like a golf tournament because he needs money, because his nan's getting her house, his mum, no, is it his nan? Yeah, I think it's his nan, is getting her house repossessed, so he wants to win the tournament. Carl Weathers is like an ex-pro, agrees to train him, be his like coach and things. Obviously he's not up in the golf world, so he doesn't know all the etiquette. He don't understand he's meant to have a caddy. When the caddy tries to walk off with his clubs, he like attacks him and throws him on the floor, thinking he's stealing. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly, but probably not quite as good as looking for it now, Caddyshack, which is kind of a better made film with more, I say, serious comedy. The comedy's not as immature as some in this, but yeah, for me this still works. Really funny, entertaining, quite well made. It's directed by Oh, I can't actually see the name on it. It shouldn't be that hard to find it. I thought I'd seen it the other day. Written by, produced by, directed by Dennis Dugan. Which, yeah, I think he has done a few other Happy Gilmore, maybe one with Jim Carrey. Let me know if you know. Yeah, give that a 7. Fun film, not the best film you're ever going to see, not critically the best, but entertaining. And yeah, for someone like me that doesn't know much about golf, I kind of found the golfing bits interesting. Yeah, it's like it when he's driving it and fighting people on the pitch and things. But yeah, a bit of a silly. If you're not into Adam Sandler, it's probably not going to change your mind. He says a few funny lines, but yeah, where he's like the sort of foil that the what's the word, more elevated comedy lines sort of play off of him. So yeah, Carl Weathers and just a lot of the cast in the background and things, like the big giant guy that's got his foot on the ball. Yeah, there's a lot of good quotable lines and things. I won't go into them too much, otherwise this video will take too long. Next one, you've got a category 3 release of Devil Fetus, should I say. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's not disappointing and like a badly made film, but probably the weakest in terms of gore and sort of shocking things I've seen in any of these Cat 3 films so far. There's one bit which I think is real, where part of the spell where they use Taoist magic, it says about on the back, I think they really do it. There's, you know, slitting a chicken's throat on camera is one thing. You know, what's the word? I guess it's, you know, millions of chickens are slaughtered around the world. They are like a food bird, and people probably aren't as upset about that. But on here, they could cut away and turn it to a chicken, but basically they've got a falcon. I don't think it's a peregrine. It's some kind of like a falcon. Might be like I don't think it's an endangered species, but yeah, basically they get this falcon. It looks real. The guy slits its throat and drains all the blood and puts it into a pot, and I think they really do that. So, you know, if someone was to kill a cow in a film, like in the start of Apocalypse Now, because cows, chicken, pigs are livestock, I don't think people get as upset. Whereas obviously if you kill a dog or a cat, that's a pet, or if you kill an endangered animal, or someone to kill a panda or an elephant, then people, you know, get more upset. So I'm thinking this is probably what made it cat-free, is the animal abuse. I mean, it's a very wacky film. Not without spoiling it, there's not too much of the like devil fetus action. I think you sort of see him at the start, but then it's possessing people. You don't really see. I thought the devil fetus would be flying around attacking people, using an umbilical cord to strangle them. But yeah, it's not really so much about that. It's quite low budget, but it works. It's very quirky, weird film. Yeah, it's not the best made out of these, but yeah, where some of them have like offensive language, a lot of nudity, sexual content. It does have a bit of nudity and things. Yeah, the gore's not really that insane. There's not many bits where I have my jaw on the floor, like you can get with a lot of these category 3 films. Obviously, it's from Hong Kong. It's an 18. It was released 2010. Yeah, how long? 92 minutes, so sort of average length. Oh yeah, it's an enjoyable one. Obviously one I'll keep in the collection. Very nice edition, like the artwork. We'll watch it again. Maybe I went into it, you know, if you've watched ones like Untold Story and how insane that is, or Ebola virus, or even just looking at them now. The next one I've got coming up, then yeah, this is a bit sort of softer than those. I kind of, other than the animal violence scene, I kind of struggled to see why this was cat-free, really. But yeah, still enjoyable, worth a watch. Still, you know, on a gory level, as gory as a lot of trying to think of like American or British film to compare it to. It's not done in a sort of torture porn way of say Hostel and thing. Yeah, probably like the same gore and that as Saw, like the original Saw film, but yeah, it's done in a bit more of like a low budget kind of silly way. It's just some very bizarre bits. Some of the special effects ain't great considering it's 2010 when he like shoots lasers. It's just like green bits on the screen. Yeah, not bad. I'd give it a 6.5, but probably my least favourite in terms of quality of film and insanity from a cat-free film. This really enjoyed, really surprised how good this is. Maybe my favourite watch of the week. I'll have to have a look at the end, but it's Welcome to the Dollhouse on Radiance. So a film by Todd Solondz. So if you know anything about Todd Solondz, you know what you're getting into. It's a 15 from 1995, 87 minutes. This was out of print when I got it recently, so it cost me like £18 when I was looking on CX the other day. It's now gone down to 15, so sod's law, I paid £3 more. Literally went down a week after I bought it. Yeah, it's kind of coming of age in like a school with this girl that gets picked on, but done in Todd Solondz kind of more graphic kind of way. If anyone's seen like Kids or Ken Park, it's kind of like you're going to school and things. Imagine like a dark, more realistic, harder to watch version of Beverly Hills 902. No, not Beverly Hills. Saved by the Bell, if anyone remembers that. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but for like adults. Won't go into the plot too much, but other than what's going on with this girl, there's like a side plot with her sister that goes missing, and it's kind of partly her fault. Won't go too much into that. What's his name in it? Brandon Sexton Jr. Really good in this. Plays this kind of horrible bully kid. Won't say what he sort of threatens her with and that, but quite shocking. His scenes. He went on when he was an adult to be in Session 9. He's really good in that. But yeah, probably he's a standout. Him and Heather, I can find the name, Heather Matarazzo. I think she went on to be in Hostel 2. I think she's the one that gets like carved up in the bathtub. Elizabeth Bathory style. But yeah, really good plot, entertaining all the way through. Good acting, really good script, funny. Good narrative, some shocking moments. As it was going along, I was like, it's kind of a bit quirky and weird, but it doesn't have the darkness of like Happiness and some of Todd Solondz's films. But no, as it goes on later, it gets there with some shocking moments. Really good set design. Yeah, just pretty flawless. Yeah, really enjoyed this. It's a bit of a drama. There's not too much action or like, violent stuff, but it still is very entertaining. Yeah, one of my probably most enjoyable watches of this year, and I'll have a double look at the end, but yeah, maybe the best of the week. I'd give that an 8.5, bordering on a 9, to be fair. Yeah, really enjoyed. I thought Happiness would be the best Todd Solondz film. It was the best I'd seen previously, and it's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in, who I really enjoy as an actor. That one's a bit overly long, and it's a bit more of separate vignettes of different people's life stories and their awkward like sex lives, whereas that is one overarching story, and yeah, got a lot of sort of black comedy and things. But yeah, if you haven't seen this, sounds like your kind of thing, would really recommend Welcome to the Dollhouse. Kind of coming of age. If you think American Pie is a bit immature and sort of coming of age, a bit silly, then it's not as funny, but it's got jokes, and yeah, it's just a lot more darker. And yeah, some of the stuff the kids do to each other, the bullies in it, are just absolutely vile. This one, my worst watch of the week. Kind of put this one off for a while because I wasn't sure if it was going to be great. Picked it up because it's a very obscure, not just obscure to find, but I'll show you. It says William Shatner and Incubus. It's a 4K. Directed by Leslie Stevens, written and directed. 74 minutes, black and white, and it's in the language Esperanto. So when I bought it and showed it on the channel maybe a year ago, someone commented saying Esperanto was created as like a world language. I mean, it sounds by Esperanto is probably a kind of got a Spanish base, but yeah, it was made as a world language. So I guess if everyone learned it, rather than having to learn English, French, Japanese, depending on what country you go to, a bit like a euro coin. However, one in Europe, well, most countries in Europe use the euro as common currency. I guess this was going to be like a common language, but it never took off. But yeah, it's got subtitles, which don't bother me. Sort of black and white, which also doesn't bother me, but it was just so slow. It's kind of well made. I think people would get something out of it, but considering it's only 74 minutes, I was literally 15 minutes into it. Felt like I've been watching it an hour. Paused it to have a look at the time, which I don't do that often, and yeah, it was only 15 minutes, and I was like, am I going to make it through this, or should I just turn it off? I never turn a film off, walk out of it or anything. You could be hating the first half, and then second half gets way better. Or even as a bad film in general, there could just be this one standout scene which is just insane or hilarious or super gory, which I think it's always worth watching. In case there's a crazy twist, or yeah, I think most films have got something redeemable. Maybe there'll be a good song in it. So yeah, I tried to watch all the way through, which I did with this. Picked up a bit in the second half. I won't read all the plot and things, but it's basically about these. I mean, they're calling them incubuses, which are kind of like sex demons from mythology, but I'd say they're more sirens. So they like sing in and call them to their peril. It says on the back, William Shatner just prior to being cast in Star Trek. But yes, very slow, very arty. Yeah, it's well made, but yeah, I just found it boring. Yeah, I guess I'd have to give it 5 or 6. For enjoyment, probably like 4.5, but it isn't a badly made film, and it's not like silly or schlocky. So yeah, I guess overall I'd give that a 6. Don't think I'll watch it again. One, I might look to move on if it's worth quite a bit in CEX. Incubus, yeah, probably my worst watch of the week, to be fair. After watching that and finding it a bit boring, I thought I need something, not just more entertainment, more action, more gore, but something that, I thought was going to be, what's the word? Not slow, but also, where that Incubus kind of is like a horror, but not too much happens. When it does, you don't really see it. Yeah, basically went for another Category 3 film of Her Vengeance. It's got a slip, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the same as that, so I don't really know why I'm showing it. Has it got the same artwork? I think I need to flip the artwork inside. I do usually do that, but I must have overlooked it. Yeah, this obviously is a Category 3 film. It's an 18, sexual violence, strong bloody violence. So there is 2 versions. The second version is 90 minutes, but it's a Cat 2, and it's got some of the sort of strongest stuff cut out. But I think the uncut one is all a 2K restoration, whereas I think some of the bits added into this aren't like great quality. So yeah, I watched the shorter version, which is actually the Cat 3, more sort of violent, uncut version, even though it's shorter. I think it's just got less story and dialogue. But yeah, basically this woman gets not just something bad happens to her, she takes revenge, but the people that do it, they stay around, they keep on attacking her is all I'm gonna say. They keep on rubbing it in, and then they've got like a video of what happens, and they're using it to blackmail her. And then basically she takes revenge on them, but she gets help from some people, like it says here. I find it. Ears will be sliced off, acid will be thrown, and funeral directors will be kept very busy indeed. So yeah, it does go there. Probably not quite as insane as Ebola syndrome is kind of the watermark, the pinnacle that I compare all these to in terms of insanity, basically. Yeah, not quite on the level of that, but definitely stronger than Devil Fetus, which I found a bit disappointing as a Cat 3. Yeah, it's bloody, it's got some quite hard to watch sexual violence. It's basically a rape and revenge kind of film, bit like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, but I enjoyed it more than those. It's got some good music in it, good acting. Feels a bit higher budget and more of a glossy production than Devil Fetus. Main lady in it, what's her name? Pauline Wong. It's really good. Yeah, it's all shot. I mean, you can probably see it in the background. All these it's in the dark with all these kind of blue lighting and hues. Looks really sort of stylish. Yeah, it does go there with the brutality. It's got Lam Ching Ying from Magic Cop, directed by the guy that does Story of Ricky and Erotic Ghost Story. So he's done, Erotic Ghost Story is a trilogy. So yeah, it's probably his 5th film that was on the Category 3 label. Yeah, it's an entertaining film. It's well made. It's got a good story. It's not hokey. It goes there. It's satisfying if you want to see the sort of insane stuff from it. Yeah, I'd give that an 8 out of 10. Yeah, one of the better ones off the Category 3 label. Definitely preferred that to Devil Fetus. Next one, I think previous recent watches, Part 19, which was almost 2 weeks ago. I watched the original Amityville on Second Sight Films Blu-ray. Well, this is the remake version, which I do only have on DVD. In fact, it's a rental copy. It's the one with Ryan Reynolds, directed by Andrew Douglas. I always thought it was Michael Bay, but he just produces it. It's a 15 from 2005, so 20 years old, 1 hour 26. Let's see, Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George, both really good in it. I wouldn't say it's a better made film than the original Amityville Horror, but it's more entertaining. Probably a bit more sort of scary. The ghosts are like Native Americans in the basement. You see it a bit more. the family dynamic. What's the guy called in the original? When he gets possessed, he's kind of just a bit moody in that, whereas in this, he's a bit more violent and unchained once he's possessed. Melissa George really good in it. Looks nice, good acting. Yeah, it's a bit more sort of drama to the family side. Yeah, like I said, it's not a better made film than the original Amityville, but I find it more entertaining, more enjoyable. A bit more happens, not quite as slow. It's like half an hour shorter. It's got a few like jump scares and things. The original was a bit more sort of psychological with like a creepy atmosphere. Yeah, so the atmosphere is better on the original, but this is just a bit more entertaining. I think I gave the original 7 or 7.5. So I gave I'll give it the same as the original. I'm not saying it's better, it's different, but yeah, I probably enjoy that more than the original. Would go back to watch it more often. It's the remake of the Amityville Horror, one of Ryan Reynolds' early roles, I think. And kind of good to see him when nowadays he's in comedy or superhero action kind of stuff. Good to see him as like a evil protagonist, and he has got a good arc because he starts as like a normal guy, and then obviously as he gets more kind of possessed as it goes on, without saying too much, it has like a good character development and things for him. But yeah, as far as remakes and that go, probably should have put it, if I didn't, in my favourite remakes ranking video, which I hadn't watched it for a long time, so I didn't. Right, this is the one I spoke about. I've just got a burned version, courtesy of Joshua Fulci Fan 1014, I think he's called now. I just call him Josh Fulci. But yeah, a while ago he sent me a load of VHS that he's basically got rare uncut versions and pre-cert, and he sent me a wallet of about 20 films in. Some have never had a UK release, and this is Silver Bullet. So yeah, waiting for this to get an upgrade onto like, I think Second Sight Films would be the best people to do it. I watched it once before, this version, and really enjoyed it. Watched it again and yeah, enjoyed it even more. I'd say after American Werewolf in London and then Dog Soldiers in that order. This is probably my third favourite werewolf film. So yeah, I prefer it to what's the Joe Dante one? The Howling. I prefer it to Wolf. I'm not seeing the newer Wolfman. Prefer it to Ginger Snaps. Yeah, I won't list every werewolf film I prefer this to. It's kind of got good werewolf action and kills, quite gory, more gory than I thought it would be. But it's actually got some funny moments. It's got drama. It's very entertaining. It's got Corey Haim, a young Corey Haim in it is good. What's the lady in it? Obviously, I've got no back or anything on this to look to see the time or the rating or anything. I guess it's probably a 15 rather than 18. Try and think of the lady's name that popped into my head, but Gary Busey, probably the best role I've seen by him. Where in some things people call him crazy Gary Busey, and not just that he overacts, but just the faces and that he makes is weird. Whereas when he does it in here, his nephew, I think he's meant to be like 12 or so, and he's disabled and he's in a wheelchair. So when he's sort of making jokes to him and laughing and playing the fool, it kind of is to cheer up his nephew, played by Corey Haim. So it kind of makes sense when he's like, you know, you turn to him and do a really stupid face and then be like eating his chips and it's like coming out his mouth and he's making silly noises. But yeah, unlike some of the films where Gary Busey goes a bit weird, like saying, what's it called, a surfing one with Keanu Reeves, Point Break, where he plays kind of a bit of an over-the-top villain, it really works in this. But yeah, I like the title kind of has two meanings, where it's a silver bullet, and without spoiling it, they do create a silver bullet to shoot a werewolf with. But where the Corey Haim's character, I can't remember his name in it. I know Gary Busey's called Uncle Red, where he's like in a wheelchair. His wheelchair's got like a little moped kind of thing attached to the front, so he can sort of drive it along. So it's like electric, but it uses petrol. And then Gary Busey, he's a bit of a bad uncle in terms of he's like a bit of a dosser, he's a drinker, he's drinking in front of the kid, he's a bit of like a waster, but he's a good uncle who loves his family with good intent. And yeah, he basically creates him this, it's like a motorbike on the front with a big trailer he can ride in it. It goes fast, called the Silver Bullet, which I thought was quite clever. Whereas yeah, obviously you hear the name Silver Bullet and you think it's going to be about the werewolf aspect, which it is, but it also is the name of his like wheelchair thing that goes really fast. And yeah, I thought that was a really good sort of prop when he's riding on it. But yeah, it's just got a bit more heart in that than most werewolf films. A bit more of like a family drama edge, bit of comedy. But yeah, when the werewolf bits happen, the special effects ain't brilliant. They're not, you know, probably doesn't have the budget of like an werewolf American Werewolf in London, or maybe even Dog Soldiers, but the werewolf bits stood up well. It's like a person in a costume rather than CGI. Gorier than I expected, but yeah, just surprised no one talks about this. I think it's based on a Stephen King book, so yeah, it's one of the top Stephen King adaptations. And yeah, for me, not only top 3 werewolf films, but it's a really enjoyable film. The best role I've seen from Gary Busey, really suits him. There's a couple of other actors and actresses pop up, I can't think of the name. But yeah, Corey Haim, probably the best thing I've seen him in. But yeah, really enjoyed this. Really underrated film, I think. Would give Silver Bullet an 8.5. But yeah, if you're into werewolf films, you haven't watched it, give it a chance. I kind of thought, maybe it's going to be a bit hokey and low budget. Heard there's one called Bad Moon, which isn't great, but no, very surprisingly well made. Next, this is one Ash from Popcorn and Horror got me a while ago. Had my eye on it for a long time, but just didn't see it around, and it was in one of Ash's local CEXs, so he picked it up, I think it was £1, and sent it to me. Thank you for that, Ash. It's Severance. So it's a film by Christopher Smith, who also does Triangle, Black Death, and Creep. So if I had to rank them, Creep probably my favourite, Severance my second favourite, Triangle my third, Black Death bottom, but I do have to give a rewatch. Black Death. But yeah, I'd watched this when Ash sent it to me, let's say 8 months ago, before I was doing the recent watches, so I never really spoke about it. Then the other night my mate came round, was having a few drinks, he was like staying over, so he was trying to look for something to watch, and he wanted to see like a comedy horror, which is kind of a bit gory, but kind of not mean-spirited, fun, kind of didn't have to think too much, but with some like British humour, because we were talking about Hot Fuzz, where I'd watched it, and he was sort of saying all the quotes from it and stuff, so I said, yeah, this is kind of similar humour to Hot Fuzz, but it's quite gory, it does go there, it's kind of Hot Fuzz crossed with the Wrong Turn films. Yeah, Severance, Danny Dyer, Laura Harris, really nice in it. I know a lot of people ain't a fan of Danny Dyer, you know, when he's trying to play the gangster kind of Cockney London hard nut, don't always deliver it, because, yeah, he's not the biggest guy, and I don't think he really looks like he's had, like, martial arts training, so unlike some, you know, Jason Statham, I'm not a massive fan of him as an actor, but he legit can do kickboxing and stuff, whereas, yeah, Danny Dyer in those kind of roles isn't always great, but in this he just plays some fool on holiday. They go to like a work conference, like team building kind of thing in the middle of nowhere. I think it's in Hungary. And then they basically get lost and there's villains in the forest. I'm not going to go too much into it than that. But yeah, Danny Dyer, he's like smoking weed, takes a little mushroom. He just plays a bit of a kind of fool and it works, this kind of character. His acting and that suits it. All the cast are good. There's a really, there's lots of funny bits and quotes. I won't go into it too much, but a bit with a pie. I baked it for an hour. The bit when he's sort of on mushrooms and he feels a bit damp. Yeah, Ash will know the quotes. Not going to talk about it too long just because I'm running out of time on this video more than that. I don't want to speak about this. But yeah, it's got some gory special effects, some tension, really funny bits. Yeah, my mate, first time he'd seen it, he was laughing throughout it, and most of the same bits I find funny. But yeah, if you're into Christopher Smith and you enjoy Creep, not quite on the level of Creep, but entertaining. I mean, yeah, like it says, The Office meets Deliverance. Really good setting in the forest. Kind of a bit tropey where, you know, seen a lot of these backwoods, people get lost and there's kind of, wouldn't really say what they are, but inbred, hillbilly, cannibal, all of that kind of line. But it does have some different twists and things, quite clever. Yeah, genuinely funny, lots of quotables. And like I say, if you ain't a big fan of Danny Dyer, I think this is the kind of one you won't mind him in, just because of the kind of character he plays kind of works. So some people are like, oh, he's a bit foolish. Well, he is in this because he's high on drugs and he's tripping, he don't know what's real and what's not. So it kind of works in the context. Whereas, yeah, if you don't like him in something like The Football Factory, because you ain't buying that he's actually a tough guy that can beat people up, then yeah, I think give him a chance in that, because that and Human Traffic, I would say, are two of the ones where Danny Dyer plays a kind of comedy role, and it works better for me than when he's trying to be a hard man. This one is one that Al sent me, my friend Al Pearson, Big Al. I had my eye on this for a long time, but I only just watched it yesterday. Really enjoyed it. Not just a good kind of action film, but I thought it would start on the oil rig and it'd be all about that. But it starts, not going into it too much, when he's at home with his wife and the kid, and then it kind of adds a bit more, not just character development, but the odds are higher. So if you know it's a bunch of people we don't know much about on an oil rig in peril, then you ain't going to care, because it sets it up showing him with his family, his wife, and then when he goes to Oil Rig, you care. Yeah, I mean, a stacked cast: Mark Wahlberg, Kurt Russell, John Malkovich, Gina Rodriguez, Dylan O'Brien, Kate Hudson. John Malkovich not in it too much. A few of these aren't, to be fair. Peter Berg film, 2016. It's a 12, moderate threat, occasional gory moments, infrequent strong language, 107 minutes. Yeah, entertaining, flew by. Shows a lot of the work that's going on the oil rig before the sort of tragedy happens, which I enjoyed. Yeah, years ago. Should have got the book ready, but I've got a biography by this guy that worked on oil rigs. And not only it sounds an interesting job, but it's very dangerous, very hard, where you sort of go work on the rig for 3 weeks and you sleep there, then you come home. But yeah, after I read that book, like probably 20 years ago, I was actually thinking of going to work on oil rigs, and this has kind of put me off, not just because of what happens, you can probably see on the front it's on fire, but also it just when they're on there, it's kind of isolated. It's obviously hard work, dangerous. But yeah, I've always found them interesting. So just see the life and how it's working and things before it goes to turns bad, as you can probably tell what's going to happen. It's based on a true story. Yeah, outside of the kind of action and the sort of peril, disaster sort of element, it is actually a well-made film with quite a lot of good shots and good characters, and Kurt Russell really good. Yeah, it kind of goes there in a lot of like the gore. You see people falling, people getting burned, exploded, glass shattered in their face. Like, yeah, it's quite strong. I mean, without spoiling it too much, Kurt Russell gets quite messed up in this. Won't say who survives or anything, but yeah, really good. Probably not up there with like Taron Inferno or the Poseidon Adventure in terms of classic action films, but classic disaster films. But out of the ones I've seen recently, up there with 2012 Day After Tomorrow is probably the best one. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Deepwater Horizon, satisfying, not just in terms of you see a lot of the oil rig, but yeah, it does go there with the peril and the action, entertain me the whole way through. I would give that an 8. Deepwater Horizon. Right, on to the last one. I have brought this big box out. I've not watched all of these, but it's one from here. So the first one I ever watched from this was Shinkoku, which I'm not going to lie was so boring. It kind of put me off watching a lot of the rest of these. I've heard Carve the Slipmouth Woman is quite messed up. But yeah, I was watching a ranking recently on YouTube. Can't remember who it was by. I think it's like an American YouTuber. And they were saying one of the scariest films ever is Noroi the Curse. Which I was like, I looked and I was like, oh, it's actually out of this box set. So it sort of fueled me to watch it. But yeah, it was not only high up the list for being creepy and a well-made film, but also one of the better found footage films. So yeah, I think I would say it was probably the best Asian found footage film I've seen. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as Wreck, but up there, yeah, probably be in my like top 5 found footage, genuinely creepy, genuinely spooky. Similar kind of pacing and style to like The Ring, but with some of the imagery of like The Grudge. Without going into it too much, it's quite a slow burn, but it's got enough creepy things. Bits with like the pigeons and the dogs. Yeah, it says more of a psychological horror. I mean, it's 115 minutes, but really entertaining all the way through. Contains strong violence, injury, detail, threat, and horror from 2005. Goes there with a good payoff. It's kind of a bit of a twist, what's the word? Mystery as it's going along, but it all makes sense. It's quite clever the way it works. Quite a lot of like, unlike a lot of The Ring, The Grudge, won't keep naming them, but a lot say I've got on Tartan Asia Extreme, which are always like a ghost, especially like a girl with sort of long black hair. What do they call them? Yokais. Like yokai and ghost monsters. It's a bit different to that, a bit more deep, yeah, more psychological, kind of a bit about demons, but yeah, I can't really go into it too much without spoiling it. Let me see if it tells me. Yeah, it's kind of shot in the way of a documentary sort of. But yeah, if you're not a fan of found footage, I would say give this one a chance. It's different to most found footage. It's a well-made film, really well acted, really creepy. Some moments of gore. I mean, 15 contains strong violence, injury, detail, threat, and horror. Yeah, I'd say it's probably now in my top 10 Asian horrors, up there with like Audition, Ring, Tale of Two Sisters, Dumplings. But yeah, also probably the best, not just best made, but genuinely creepy, unsettling. not really so much jump scares, just see some horrible imagery. Really builds up like the tension well. But yeah, would really recommend that. Best, obviously, I've only seen 2 out of here so far. I think next I will watch Car of the Split Mouth Woman. I was trying to watch them in sort of chronological order that they come on the box. But yeah, unfortunately, Shikoku was a bit boring. Sorry, Shikoku was a bit boring. Maybe they should have put that on there first. But yeah, glad I jumped to this one because yeah, I was just seeing a lot of things and I was like, oh, I think I've got that on the Japanese box. So when I checked, I was quite pleasantly surprised. And then yeah, really enjoyed that one. So yeah, watch of the... Oh, sorry, I'll give that 8. So yeah, watch of the week. Probably, let me see if I can get this back in. Would probably have to be Welcome to the Doll's House. I gave that the highest score. I think that was an 8.5. And yeah, probably this J-Horror Rising... Noroi the Curse from J-Horror Rising. Probably my second favourite. Deepwater Horizon, maybe the third. Yeah, obviously Incubus. Kind of the stinker of the week. Still not a bad film, but just boring. Well made, but not going to be for everyone. Some people might get enjoyment out of it. I'm not saying don't ever watch it. Devil Fetus probably the other sort of least. So yeah, I guess the favourites. As much as I gave Deepwater Horizon a high score, I'd probably have to say Noroi the Curse, Welcome to the Dollhouse, obviously Hot Fuzz, classic film. Watched that loads of times. But yeah, for first time watches, probably Welcome to the Dollhouse. But yeah, not a bad week. Well, 2 weeks almost. All quite fun films. And yeah, like I say, if you haven't seen Silver Bullet, would recommend it, whether you can get hold of it or not. Let me know if it's got a release. If not, then how has it been so long not having like a good UK release? It really deserves one. Like I say, really entertaining, good performances, good music, actually, really good rock song. Won't talk about it too much. But yeah, obviously it was a rewatch, and I was like, the first time I watched it, I enjoyed it, but when I go back to it, will it still stand up? But yeah, it did. It actually improved. Yes, that's everything I've watched. Sorry it's gone on quite long, but I did have 13 films to talk about. Everybody knows by now I go on a long time. I don't think I forgot to say anything else about these. Yeah, quite a mixed batch. A few horrors. Obviously 2 category 3. But yeah, even some of these horrors, obviously Phantom of the Mall, Severance are kind of more comedy horrors, and then Noroi a bit more serious. Anyway, I'm just waffling on now talking about the films. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So it's gone under 50 minutes at least. First video I've done in about 2 weeks. So it's not like I'm uploading a 50-minute long one every day to slow down everybody's life, but hopefully, being this is the first one I've done in 12 days, people won't be too upset. It's nearly 50 minutes. Haven't really had any money to buy anything, so I've not done any haul videos. Still off work for a few days at the moment, so going to watch a few more films, so should have quite a good batch again on the next recent watches. That'll be part 21. Getting ahead of myself, as I haven't even watched one yet to start stacking up on that list. I'll link all the channels down below, all really good YouTubers and good friends. Any questions or anything about the films or any information you know, let me know. I don't know. Silver Bullet is directed by, to tell you the truth. But yeah, if you're a fan of Gary Busey, then I would recommend watching him in that one. Right, thank you everybody, bye.